All of these districts hired equity consultants to come in and do what's called an equity audit of the school system. So they went out, they submitted, they had a request for proposal. They got a bunch of bids, proposals from different clients, from different companies, and then they selected one and they went with it. So a district went out, affirmatively chose to start this investigation, paid money for it, district money, taxpayer money. And then the equity audit came back and said, there are problems. You are racist. There are disparities. There are issues identified in different statistics, et cetera, different quotes, anecdotes from members of the community. And so we sent these complaints to the Federal Department of Education, because if a district commissions such a study because they believe there is a problem, and the study comes back and says, yes, there is a problem, then that is something that the Department of Education should investigate. There are real grounds for concern here. And so if they, otherwise, is this just some kind of empty virtue signaling? Because why would you do that? So we're kind of, calling them out on that behavior. What is going on in your school district, and why are you spending finite taxpayer dollars on these investigations? The Department of Education and the Office of Civil Rights under Catherine Lehman has asserted that disparate impact is evidence of racism. If that is what they believe, then holding them to their own standard, that is something they should investigate. So in my personal viewpoint, in our organizational viewpoint, disparate impact analysis is garbage. But if that is the standard by which this Department of Education is adjudicating, then this department should investigate it. We believe that districts, that principals should be allowed, have the authority and have the leeway to discipline students that misbehave, period. Those kinds of things should not be set by the Federal Department of Education. That's our organizational viewpoint. But again, let's hold these schools accountable to this Department of Education standards. And by that standard, these districts don't measure up. If these districts don't think they're racist, but then went out and spent money on these investigations, why would you do that? I mean, again, this very much seems like it's empty moral posturing. And I mean, let's think about where our students are right now. Our students have been hit with astonishing, heartbreaking learning loss over the past 2 years. Districts operate on finite budgets. They have our students in class every day for a finite period of time. But rather than addressing, where the proficiency rates that have fallen off the cliff, districts are spending their money, they're spending their time on these social justice programs, on these diversity initiatives. Is that making our children better off, or is it making our children worse off? I have real concerns about how a lot of these school districts are running their programs. The investigation will be painful, but if you didn't want an investigation, then you should not have commissioned that study in the first place. And somewhat sadly, I have no doubt that they will try and dismiss my complaints as soon as possible, which is kind of funny because in the Biden administration's 2022-2023 budget, they actually asked for an 18% budget increase. I think it was $181 million more for this coming budget year to expand the Department of Education's OCR office capacity. And so they should have ample staffing and ample time and ample resources to do these investigations if they don't want to. So if and when these complaints are dismissed, as sadly I fear they are, it'll show that this department also does not take disparate impact analysis seriously.